There are road trips, and then there's a political pilgrimage.
Hey, what did you do this weekend? I just went to South Carolina. No big deal.
Ada Vargas and Julia King live in New York City. But one Friday night, on an impulse, they boarded a bus full of political idealists. And driving all night, ended up in this Columbia, South Carolina neighborhood, making a door-to-door pitch for Bernie Sanders.
Bernie's really invigorating people who have never voted before.
In Iowa and Nevada, Bernie Sanders beat Hillary Clinton among voters under the age of 30 by a factor of 6-1. In New Hampshire, it was 5-1. And here in South Carolina, the Sanders campaign hopes to mobilize young voters and get the same result. Bernie, nice job. Sanders has been at it for 4 decades, making the same argument for social justice he made in the 60s as a young activist, and when he first held public office in the 80s as the mayor of Burlington, Vermont.
When you look at the cost of telephone bills and electric bills and housing and health care and higher education, the average American worker is in worse shape, and the disparity between the rich and the poor is growing worse.
Fast forward 30 years to the night he smashed Hillary Clinton by 22 points in New Hampshire, and the message remains the same.
My friends, we must tell the billionaire class and the 1% that they cannot have it all at a time of massive wealth and income inequality.
For most of those 30 years, Sanders has been largely ignored on the national stage. While he won a House and later a Senate seat in Vermont, critics said the self-declared Democratic Socialist was too far left of the mainstream to make a credible run for president. Bernie. So what is Sanders' appeal to young people? Why now? Socialist is a word that carries a stigma for many older Americans, conjuring visions of the Cold War, the Iron Curtain, and the threat of nuclear annihilation. Republican candidates invoke those dark days to slam Sanders and motivate their voters.
None of our candidates is a socialist. That's a good thing.
But the Berlin Wall fell 27 years ago. For the young, the Soviet Union seems as distant as the Ottoman Empire is to baby boomers. Instead of dread, for some of them, socialism evokes positive images. As a sophomore at the University of South Carolina, Megan Taylor is the campus coordinator for the Sanders campaign.
I always like to say to people, your favorite parts of America are the socialist parts. You just don't realize that they're socialists.
Armed with voter profiles provided by the Sanders campaign, Vargas and King pound the pavement.
We know their gender, their age, their phone number.
Young people inspired to a political cause. For Bernie Sanders, an old message striking a chord with a new generation. Mike Viqueira, Al Jazeera, Columbia, South Carolina.